Hi, welcome to Caribou Country Lifestyle. Out here in the garden again. I'm going to be planting my leeks right now. So with leeks, you need to have them 6 to 8 inches apart, and you're planting them 6 inches deep. So I'm using my dibble, and this has its own measurements on it. So this first notch, that's 4 inches long here, 4 inches, and then that's another 2 inches. So I know when I get to the second line that is 6 inches. So I'm going to push it into the ground 6 inches, and then what I do is I use this dibble to also measure the distance in between the plants as well. So I just push it down. That was the 4, so a little further, and there's the 6. And then I measure it, and again. Have to give it a little twist. If I pull it out without giving it a little twist, the dirt falls. Oop, not far enough. The dirt falls back in the hole again because it gets stuck to the dibble. And I have just enough room to get one here right on the very end. A little bit further. And then what I'm going to do is I will take out these leeks. And there's more than one leek in the pack. So now I'm going to split them up. And I'll just drop each one into the hole. I'm going to have actually quite a few leeks. I didn't realize when I bought these, because I had planted my own leeks, and I only have 5 leeks in this container. So I'm going to have a lot of leeks. And what I do with the leeks, with my excess leeks, is I will clean them up, chop them up, and I will dehydrate them. So I'm going to do the same thing in behind here on this side as well. And then maybe I'll grab these leeks that I had started. Just going to put a tag here so it tells me what is there. And then what I do is I just cover the leeks with dirt just enough to get to the first set of the green, which don't have to bury them too much. And then as it rains, that rainwater is going to fill in the hole as well. So I'm only putting just enough until I get to the first leaf. And I have one left over. So now I'm going to try and find spots for the rest of these leeks, which I have more than enough room around here to try and find places to put leeks. I will not have a problem finding some other spots. I'm actually planting my shallots that I started, and I have 13 shallot plants. So I'm going to do the same as I did with my leeks. And then whatever I can't fit in this first row, I'll just plant the excess in behind it. went around and watered all my beds and also my long beds down below, because I'm going to be planting my squash plants down there and my brassicas. I've been trying to find broccoli plants because my broccoli didn't take, and I haven't been able to find any broccoli plants yet. So I was a little disappointed by that. So we'll just split these up. But I'm not gonna sink them down as much as I did with the leeks, because they don't grow the same. I mean, they're not from the same family, but they don't actually grow the same. So just get these separated, and I'm just filling the hole in around the bulb of the shallot. Probably don't even have to go down 6 inches with shallots. And this is the first time I tried planting. I started shallots last year, but it didn't work out. The plants didn't take. And yes, this year they have, so I'm super excited. And shallots are just like onions, but they have even more flavor to them. And you'll see a lot of recipes where they want you to use shallots. So I'm only going to go down 4 inches. I still have, let's see. Yeah, I think I'll do a whole another row just in front of these. I'm so happy that these turned out this year. I think I actually had to plant the shallot seeds twice, because the first time they didn't take, and then so I planted them quite heavily the second time, and then they did. So super happy about that. I still have an extra one, so I'm just gonna put it right in the very front here. Right in the middle. So yay. I have planted, the first time I planted shallots. Over on this arbor, on this side of the arbor, on that side of the arbor, I'm going to be planting cucumbers to climb up it. On this, underneath the arbor, I am going to be planting some celeriac. This is celeriac that I actually had started myself, and it took. Last year I tried starting celeriac and it didn't do anything, and oh, that's a cute little bird that has just decided to come and say hi. So I'm going to put celeriac in the back, and with celeriac you're really eating the bulb of the plant. It's not like celery where you're eating the tops. I mean, I don't know. Can you eat the tops of celeriac? I had celeriac last year, and that was plants that I had bought, and I never ate the tops. I only ate the bottoms. So we'll just plug these in. I started taking out all my plants and hardening them off. I did that they've been out for about a week. And the first day I was going to take them out and then I was going to go to work. Well, it was so windy that I was so glad that I did not do that, because the wind was so bad that it would have snapped my tomato plants in half, and I would have been so sad if that would have happened. I've got a pretty puny little celeriac here, but I have faith that it is gonna be okay. It's very small, but it's mighty. I'm just telling myself that. And we're gonna plant my celery, which I also started myself, and it did pretty good. I'm gonna give it some space because I still might plant something on this arbor. It might be flowers, or it might be cucumbers. I haven't decided. So far, I haven't found many cucumbers. This year, my cucumbers did not do the best. I've got 5 celery plants. These actually look really nice. And celery, as I've said before, likes lots of water. So I have to pretty much come out here. If it doesn't rain, I have to come out here every day to water my celery. I thought I had 5. I only have 4. But I love celery. I use it in so many dishes. And I'm just glad that I have enough for the year. For some reason, I did not plan for me to plant fennel in any of these beds. So I have a spot here that I have decided I will put my fennel back here. I have 6 plants and I only have enough room for 4 on the end without impeding on my beets on this side and my carrots and tomatoes on the other side. So this is, I will put 4 plants over here, and then I just have to find a spot for 2 more plants somewhere else, which will be super easy. Last year, again, I bought fennel because mine did not take. So I will put 2 on this side of the panel, and then I will put 2 on this other side. And fennel, I have really come to really like fennel, and I've said that before. I like putting it in fish dishes. It's really good with lingcod, any type of a white fish. I've done it with a bassa fillet as well. And I've never tried it with halibut. But last year I bought the plants and I didn't pick it when I was supposed to pick it. So you're supposed to, once the bulb gets about 3 inches in diameter, you're supposed to pick it, and I did not do that. So it ended up going to seed, and then it was no good. So I never got any fennel last year. So don't do that again, Cheryl. Mental note to myself. Normally this is where my asparagus would be growing, but I didn't get any asparagus. I got a few shoots over there that I'm just letting them go to ferns. I didn't end up picking any of it. And I have some of these, what are these? The China gold cabbage. It's an Asian cabbage, and I really love the Asian cabbage. So I put 3 in behind those shallot plants that I planted over there, and I'm gonna put the other 3 just in the front here. Because I don't have anything else growing here, it's not like it's going to affect anything in this bed. I'm also going to be planting, I tried planting some old glad bulbs. They're 2 years old. We'll see if they do anything. I will also be planting some of my sunflowers in here too. So we're just going to put this China gold cabbage, and I'm just planting it in the front over at this end. So I'll just plug my tag in there, but I don't think I'm going to have any space at the bottom. Last year I planted them in the bottom a long row, and I mean, they did fine, but I just don't think I'm gonna have any room for these down there, so I need to plant them up here instead. We are on day 2 of planting plants out in the garden. So these are my Kozy coats, and I'm going to be using them for my tomato plants. So far, I have filled up 18, or I'm just about to fill up my 18th Kozy coat. I'm going to show you how that's done. These are the Kozy coats. They're just, that's what they look like. And I put it around this empty bucket, planting bucket, so that I can fill it, each of the tubes, with water. And then it acts as like a mini greenhouse around my tomatoes. And as the sun heats up, it's heating up that water, which then insulates around the tomato plants, which also acts like a greenhouse. So I just fill up these little tubes with water, and I fill up like 2 on this side, and then I'll stop and I'll come over to this section and I'll fill up another 2. Sometimes you get wet doing this. I've definitely had my share of soaking myself, because you get carried away and filling it up too fast. And sometimes you just have to shut the tap off in between, or not have it go coming out so fast, like slow the water flow down. Once I get like 2 sections in every third of the Kozy coat, then I go around and I start filling the ones up in between. And that bucket helps keep the Kozy coat up and stable, or it just falls all over the place. And you're just getting more frustrated than anything else. So slow and steady, that way you get less soaked. Sometimes I just get impatient, and I'm the one that pays for being impatient. So now I'll just go around and fill up all of the tubes, and now I'm just going to top it off. So if your name's not right, that's how you end up getting wet. Or sometimes the plastic doesn't want to work in your favor. Okay, so then I just slip the bucket off, and see how it just caves in like a teepee? And that actually also protects your plant. Once your plant starts getting established, because using these Kozy coats actually speeds up the growing of your tomato, so when you're planting it into a new space, it actually slows down the growing of the tomato plant, while using these Kozy coats actually speeds up the growing because of that greenhouse effect. It's giving those tomatoes the right kind of conditions to help them succeed in keep growing. To start, I am going to be planting 4 tomatoes on this panel here. I usually plant them on the other side so that it gets the full sun, but it will still receive full sun. Doesn't matter if it's on the front of the tomato plant or the back of the tomato plant. In this spot, it's still going to receive full sun. So I'm going to be planting 4 across, 2 of each variety. The year before last, I had my Sun Gold cherry tomatoes. Sorry for the noise. My husband is also working and using his saw over at the shop. So anyways, I'm going to be planting my Sun Gold cherry tomatoes over here. And that's these two. Before I plant them, I'm just going to dig a hole down. I have some bone meal. I'm just going to put a handful of bone meal and a handful of just all-purpose fertilizer. Got lots of good root system on the tomato. And then I'm just going to sink it down. Once I sink it down, I like to make a little well around the tomato plant so that when I'm watering it, that water will go and sit in the well and then it'll soak into the ground for the tomato plant. Put my tag right there. And then we're going to take one of the Kozy coats and we're going to slide it right over the plant. Sometimes it helps to have two people doing this, but that is not an option. And as you can see, the tomato plant is in there. And then I'm just going to carry on and do the next plant. Same way. And I moved my tag over because I kind of squished it with the Kozy coat. So we'll have this one fairly close to this other one. Like, I mean, really, that's still about 18 inches away from that tomato plant. And these Sun Gold tomatoes are my absolute favorite cherry tomato. They're the only cherry tomato that I'm planting now. I don't plant any other cherry tomatoes. And as you can see, I've made a little well around that tomato plant as well. And then we'll put the Kozy coat over that. I like to kind of pull it away from the plant at the bottom so that it does kind of cave in to have more of a greenhouse effect where it surrounds it and protects it from the elements. And this fertilizer, it's just a 4-4-4 ratio of fertilizer. This is the Old German. It's a beautiful, beautiful, absolutely beautiful orange tomato. It's kind of actually like a yellowy orange blend of color mixed together. and I absolutely love the old German. And we are at like the end of May. It's going to be June 1st tomorrow. So I'm not really expecting there to be any frost. There is nothing in the 10-day forecast that says that we are going to get anywhere near zero. We're in the probably the 8, 9, 10 at night. It was quite windy last night, but it didn't get down. I think it was 9 degrees this morning when I left for my walk. So that's actually a pretty good, that's 9 degrees Celsius. And I want to plant it fairly close to the panel so that once it gets high enough and starts getting close to where the panel is, then I'm going to start staking it and tying it to the panel to make sure that it doesn't fall over. And then this is an indeterminate. These are all indeterminate tomatoes that I'm growing on this panel. So it grows an indeterminate height. So these could get way up to the top of the panel, and I have had that happen plenty of times. I filled up all of these Kozy coats thinking I was going to be using all of them, but then like in other beds I have things planted in front of it. Well, this bed here had the least amount of stuff planted in front of it, and these garlic that are here, I'm actually going to be picking them come July, so they will not be in here. So then what I want to do is, like, I planted a couple of fennel plants in here because they will definitely be here longer than the garlic will be. But I'll put some other plants in front of here, maybe some basil, because tomatoes really like basil. So we'll put our bone meal and our all-purpose fertilizer. Grab my next plant. And I usually break off, like pinch off the bottom branches, and I just drop them right into the hole. Because I pack this right up to the bottom branch. I plant it down that far deep. That's all I do for my tomatoes, planting my tomatoes. So I'm just going to carry on and plant the rest of the varieties here. I put 2 varieties on each panel. So I will have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 different varieties in here in the garden. 2 of each variety and 12 different varieties. So I'm going to have 24 tomato plants up against each of these panels, and I'm just going to carry on and keep planting. Okay, I have all my tomatoes. So this is in the U-shaped bed, and the 2 on the left are the San Marzano, and the 2 on the right are the New Girl. Here's where I planted my leeks, gave them a little bit of water. It's been 2 weeks, and I have my beets are starting to sprout. And on the other side, my carrots are starting to sprout. I don't know how close I have to get, but there's the carrots are coming up. The other half of my leeks over on that side, these are the Celeriac that I planted. Over on this side, I gave everything a little bit of a drink. This is the celery, so it'll perk back up now that I've watered it again. Over here, as you notice, we have is the shade. This is the reason why I planted my lettuce and my hikari salad turnips over here, and in the back corner, that's why I planted my radishes. It is like almost 2:30 in the afternoon, and we are getting the afternoon shade because of the garden shed, and this is getting shade because of the trees. So here I didn't put the Kozy coats on those because I have 2 rows of baby beets in front of it and I did not have enough room. So on the left we have the Rainbow Blend, that's from the Brandywine family. And then on the right I have my Amish Paste, which is a very meaty, large Roma paste tomato. Over here I only had 2 Kozy coats left after I was finished. So on the left, this is the Manitobas. Pretty sure that's what that says. No, sorry. These are the Celebrity, and they are a bush variety of tomatoes, so they actually don't need to be staked. And then on this side, this is the Brandywine Red. And I just put the my last 2 Kozy coats on those. I have more Kozy coats. It's just, this is kind of infringing. My carrots are starting to come up there right in front of the Kozy coats. So I wasn't sure if I was even going to have enough room. Like, there's not a ton of room there. I also topped up all of my blocks with compost, so they're ready to be planted. I plant flowers that cascade over the side, but I'm also going to be planting some mini sweet peas, and they only get about 6 inches high. Okay, over here I have kale coming up, so that's exciting. The 2 tomatoes on this side, these are the ox heart. These tomatoes grow in the shape of a heart. And then on this side, we have the Aunt Ruby's German green. And they're a big, beautiful yellow with red in the yellow tomato. Here I have, this is my purple sprouting broccoli that's coming up. I'll have to thin those after a couple more days. Here is where I planted my fennel at this end of the bed. In the front here, these are beets coming up on each side of this volunteer garlic. And then I have carrots growing in front of these tomatoes. Again, didn't really have a ton of room in front, so I barely got these Kozy coats in here. The 2 on the left, these are Manitobas, and those are a bush variety of tomato, just like the Celebrity, do not need to be staked. And beside them, I have the Valencia, and that is an orange tomato. I grew these last year, so hopefully they do better than they did last year. Wasn't overly impressed with that. And then if we come over here, bleeding hearts, got my borage, lilies. Then I planted another little curled parsley to go with the one that overwintered. It's definitely not the same size as the flat leaf parsley. And my carnations, I'm not sure if they have any buds on them as of yet, but I can't wait to see those bloom. And I have a little volunteer alyssum that had come up. Obviously some seeds got into the ground and it reseeded itself, but that's okay. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.